Hello guys, again here. I'm here teaching you again. So this is a new video tutorial about Road to Crystal Brass. Remember, a lot of people asking me how I have to paint with capibases. This is the trick, right? Where is the trick? And you want the answer. So if your question is how I have to paint with the capibases, easy. Remember, always I said in a lot of video tutorials, don't be worried about anything. Why? What happened about the dilution? Nothing. This is the truth. Doesn't happen nothing. So if you want to paint with this kind of tricks, with this kind of way, with the capibases, the most interesting trick I can give you, this is the capi tip, I can give you in this video tutorial will be, remember, if you are scared about the dilution, this is the truth to you. Don't worry, just that. If you add more water than you should add, too much, don't worry, because the trick will be paint one layer, dry with a dry hair dryer, or wait enough time to have a complete dried surface, and then again paint another layer. But please, 2 layers, not more. If you need to paint 7 layers, it's because you are painting with glazes. Oh man, you need to spend a lot of time painting with glazes, and then the result, it's okay. For sure, it's awesome if you can control all the glazes, but you will need a lot of time. You maybe will waste your time. So please try to spend your time painting and enjoying. So my trick, if you paint with more water than you should use, don't worry, just paint one layer, dry the surface with a hair dryer, and then paint again another layer. But if you want to learn well how to paint with capibases, the first trick, just with a bit of water or directly without water. I know, now you are scared. You are thinking that I am a liar. Don't worry, really. If you have painted the walls on your house, for example, it's just dip the brush and then paint the wall, right? And just move the paint all the time, and then dip again the brush and paint again. This is the truth. If you add water, you can control maybe better, the dilution will look like float better, but then you need to paint another layer, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. Please, with 2 is enough. But if you paint with capibases just with a bit of water, just a bit, and if you don't know well is the dilution, if you can control it well, the idea will be paint without water. I know a lot of companies, a lot of painters will say Sergio is crazy now. Okay, I'm crazy, maybe. But the idea, remember, if you want to paint models, it's because you want painting. Just that, you need to paint, no spend a lot of time just for the base coat. You need to paint the base coat quickly, and then paint the next layers, paint the next lights, paint the next step. Just that. So, for now, about the capibases, if you are watching this video tutorial because looks easy, but maybe for you will be awesome because you have all the keys here. I'm painting with an old brush. I'm painting without water or just a bit. If you see the bar on the bottom of this screen, you will see that I add a water icon, just one, right? Means that I add a bit of water, just a bit. If you think about paint without water, it's just a bit. Or if you can control well this, without water, just that. Try to test. If you want at the beginning, test in another model because you are scared. I can imagine, don't worry. But then, please, paint and add a bit of water inside of your mix, just that, and then paint. paint and move the paint on your model. Just that. You will get a smooth surface, a thin layer, and with one layer you will cover all the base coats. Easy, quickly, perfect. Just that. So, another tip. If you are scared about the dilution because you live in a dry place with your weather, it's completely dry, right? If you live in this kind of area, because in some areas with a lot of humidity, maybe this kind of tricks works perfectly. I live in Madrid. It's in Madrid, Spain, and it's a dry weather, okay? The humidity, if I see now, it's 50, okay? 50 is humidity. I can see there now. I can show you on the screen if you want. So now it's 50. I think it's dry and works perfectly, working without water. But if you want to add a bit of water, perfect. If you are scared about the weather in your home, perfect, okay? Don't worry. Remember, I'm trying to teach you without fears, just to enjoy having fun painting models. Because if you paint more models, will be better, because you will get the feedback that you need to feel. Sometimes you need to spend a lot of time painting the same model because you are painting with glazes, all the base coats, because you are scared about, oh, I don't want to remove details. Oh, come on, you need to paint. And then if you remove detail, with the next model, try to paint better to don't remove that detail. But now, if you are trying to change these tricks, this way to paint as I try to explain you. Don't feel stressed. Paint with a bit of water, paint with one layer, cover everything on the base coat, and then start to paint the next layers, the next steps, and enjoying. Why I want to say that? Because I've seen a lot of painters spending one weekend just to paint maybe the head. And the head is okay, just that, because they feel that is not enough. The quality is not enough. They won't get better results. But they didn't paint anything. So to see the feedback, to feel the feedback, you need to paint everything. You need to have a perfect sketch, at least a perfect sketch with the base coats on all your model. You can decide if you want the color, if you want the value of the light, if you want the color scheme, everything. If you want the temperature, everything. If you paint just the face, at the end, maybe the face is awesome. You painted with glazes. You spend 20 hours painting the face, but then you are boring with that model because you see the rest of the model without the base coat, without anything. So what happened? You want to paint another model directly because you don't want to spend more time on that. So for that, remember, base coats without mistakes, paint faster, quickly, okay? Paint with the colors you want. Then, if you don't like something, change to another color. And the most important, think about the value of the light. Why? Because with this way I'm trying to teach you, the idea will be start with our first shadow. What means first shadow? If you can understand it well, second shadow. That means deeper, darker, okay? If you can understand me, what means first shadow or second shadow is like the temperature, okay? You have +1, +2, +3, and -1, -2, -3. So -2, it's darker, just that. If in some moments you don't know how to paint something, because for example, you want to paint yellow, okay? Yellow is a hard color to paint, right? If you want to paint a color like that, I can imagine that if Sergio says you have to paint with your first shadow, maybe some of you will pick directly a mid yellow or something like that. It's not enough dark. And maybe some of you will think, okay, if Sergio says that you can use your first shadow or second shadow, maybe I can use this chocolate brown. Why not? Because it's too much, okay? The color about the shadow should have sense. If don't make sense to you, it's wrong, okay? If you want to paint with black and then paint with yellow, never will work, okay? So the idea will be paint with browns like nuts, for example, something like that, a mid brown with a bit of orange, a bit of yellow, a bit of green maybe. This is up to you. If you want to play with the temperature, you can decide what kind of yellow you want to represent, because it's not one yellow, there are more yellows, right? You can create yellows colder, warmer, more saturated, desaturated. You have different options, right? So if you want the most saturated yellow, okay, you want something really, really intensive, what kind of color you have to use? Yellow, right? But you want to play with the temperature because will be saturated too. For example, it's not the same. Use a bit of green inside of the yellow to get something like lemon or lime, okay, when the color is a bit green, something like that, or something warmer. For sure, yellow, pure yellow is warm. But if you want something darker or you want to move this kind of temperature, you can use a bit of orange, for example, to move a bit and could look really saturated too and really interesting, right? I don't want to say orange, okay? Continue being yellow. About orange and red, like my t-shirt, I'm going to explain in another video tutorial because I know you want to learn how to paint non-metallics metal, because I know that. And then you want to paint red because it's really tough color, right? So in another video tutorial, I'm going to explain you how to paint this kind of delicate or tough colors. So keep calm because you will discover everything on this Patreon, on these video tutorials. But for this video tutorial, because I'm teaching you how to paint the capibases, this video tutorial is because some of you asking me how I have to paint with capibases. This is the key. You have all this video tutorial just showing how I use the brush, how I move the paint. You can see perfectly now how I touch the miniature. You can discover different brush strokes. It's not always the same, a brush stroke. Sometimes you need to just push with the point of your brush because you need to add inside of the wrinkles, inside of the folds, inside of the items, some areas where it's difficult to paint, right? So if it's difficult, will be difficult at the end. So you need to paint them now and darker. Why means darker? Because if you paint with too much light, maybe at the end looks like you have light inside. For that reason, paint darker. If you don't know, if you have painted with enough shadow, you will discover in this video tutorial how to fix it. Will be easy. Why? Because we don't make mistakes. Simple, just that. Then when you have dried the surface, you need something darker because you think, okay, I like the brown, but I think maybe if I continue adding capibases going to the light, at the end, I'm going to lose this brown. Will be a desaturated brown with a lot of white. Maybe I need something else. Maybe you need something darker, but you like it as first shadow. What kind of color you have to use now? Your second shadow. In some moments in this video, you will watch that I've painted with the second shadow at the same time. Because as always I said, the base coat is a sketch. You have to play as a sketch. It's not perfect. I can decide, okay, this brown is perfect. Boom, done. No, never. You need to test. In some moments, you will see, oh, come on, I did it. This is awesome. This is the perfect color I decide for this element. But in some moments, you will decide, or you will think that it's awesome, but you feel that at the end, if you continue working with this color, won't be okay. So for that, just add a second shadow. When? Now, because it's the moment to add something inside, in the shadows, darker. Because then will be easier just going up to the light directly, okay? Super easy. If you need to paint this kind of dark colors at the end, oof, when you have everything perfect with a lot of lights, it's the moment where you don't want to add this kind of outlinings. This is the key. This kind of base coats will work as outlining for us. It's our dark lining or outlining. To me, both words make sense, because in some moments you need to draw the dark lining. Okay, it's not an outlining perfectly, but for that reason I said dark lining, because in some moments you have to draw this dark lining. The idea with the copy base and start with the first shadow will be because you will respect this base coat maybe or only as outlining, and some areas where you need something darker, just that. And then you need to remove everything, 90% of the previous base. You will paint with the mid-tone. With the next step, you need to remove 90% or 85% of this base coat, okay? So this is the idea. And for example, if you see my brush now on the screen, you will see that I load too much paint, right? Some of you will be scared using the brush like that, because you will break your brushes, something like that, okay? Maybe it's true, maybe. But the first tip I gave you was enjoy painting. I enjoy a lot dipping the brush inside of the mix, loading perfectly, maybe 110% more than I should load, and then paint with that. I enjoy painting like that. So if you enjoy painting like me, just load your brush, and then when you finish your day, when you have done, today is done, boom, clean your brushes, please. Clean your brushes. If you clean with enough water, with soap, you clean them well, you won't have problems. I use always my brushes on that way, and works as different way. So if you be scared about, I don't want to break my brushes, at the end you won't enjoy painting with the brush strokes, deep in the brush, loading, just enjoy. And then for sure you have to clean your tools, and your brushes are expensive, are delicate, so please, with a soft soap, with enough water, clean them well. I explain you in another video tutorials or streamings some tools I made to clean your brushes, so you don't have excuse. Sometimes I'm going to tell you that you don't have to lick the brush, or you don't have to paint your fingers, or something like that, because in my opinion you don't need them. If you want to create your new mixes and you think that with your mouth, with the liquid in your mouth, it's okay to create this new consistency, is the new medium, okay, it's up to you. I don't paint on that way, never. So to the base coats, you don't need to mix the colors with Windex, soap, alcohol, different mediums. To paint the base coat is just water and paint, a bit of water and paint, just that. Paint the base coats, dry with a hair dryer. Then if you need to change something, change for another color. Or if you feel that something is too light, add more shadow. Just that. And then when you have done all the base coats, it's the moment to start to build up the volumes, to create the light. How? This is up to you. If you want to use mediums, if you want to use glazes, if you want to create something like that, perfect. But if you want to join to this way to paint, is exactly the same way. Another copy base, another base coat, just lighter. Just that, easy and quickly. You have a lot of professionals in my Patreon learning this way because it's really, really interesting, faster, and the results are like you can see on my social media. Just that. They speak by themselves. And this is my crystal brush. I don't have better words to explain you and to teach you. Remember, the most important, paint and have fun painting. Just that. If you see now, for example, something more interesting, it's something I told you. because it's a 54 millimeters, it's smaller than the scale I usually paint. I usually paint a 75, 70, more or less like that. And these kind of tricks you are watching now on the screen are, I'm painting the second shadow. You will see on the bones, face, maybe the leaves, other stuffs. The idea is, if I think that something is too small with a lot of details and will be tough to me at the end, add shadow, because I'm going to need to add shadows, and will be tough because it's really hard to add the brush there, and you have painted everything, you will create the mistakes. So now, without fears, if you feel that at the end you will need separate better, create an outline darker, something like that, just add now your second shadow and just that. For example, now on the face, you can see these kind of tricks. This is something that I explain you when I teach you in 30 millimeters. And again, I'm going to show you. For example, the same trick I explained you to paint at 28 or 30 millimeters, you can use to paint at 54 millimeters. It's just paint the second shadow where you think that should be okay, where you need more contrast. You need to draw the surface. You need to draw the details. You have small details that you need to bump it up. You need to draw them. So, if you need to draw them with a super thin dark lining or outlining, you need to paint them now, because then will be super easy. Just remove the excess, remove the mistakes with the next layer going up. Just that. So this is all the tricks I can teach you with the capibases. Remember, less water, more contrast. Don't worry if you add more water than you should, because it's just dry and paint again another layer. Or if you paint without water, just extend or move well all the paint to get a perfect base coat cover, as you can see on this video tutorial. Easy. For example, another stuff maybe I didn't explain you, it's when you have the same material touching, for example, the hand and the leg, you need to separate. So in that case, because it's the same materials, I recommend you paint now the second shadow to separate better both, okay? Because it's the same material, the same colors, and in that case, the same light. So could be weird, or maybe you can understand them well at the end. So for that, second shadow now. And this was everything. So I hope you have enjoyed. This is everything that I can teach you now about base coats, capibases, and everything will be good words to you. Thank you very much to be there on the other side, watching me, watching us, and helping us to continue working on that kind of video tutorials. So thank you very much. Bye bye.